Thank you for making me feel old. No, I know. I love that. Look at each other, maybe grab each other's hands like, is this really happening? You're so lucky you got to see all this stuff already.
I know, I literally binged it all. Congratulations on the movie festival. Now, right now, we're kind of close to where you grew up, and
Yes.
we're also close to San Francisco, where you saw Wicked being workshopped in your freshman year. So it's kind of a mini homecoming.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that, but yeah, you're right. It's crazy.
Oh, I'd love to know what it's kind of like. You come off something like the Wicked Festival, which is such a whirlwind, still kind of on it.
Yeah.
But has it hit you yet? Has it sunk in, like coming home as well?
I also had a new baby.
Yes.
We were also just evacuated for these fires, so there's a lot happening in my life. And so and usually as a director, you have a sort of protective shell when you come into a movie, letting it out to the world. But yes, I have had moments, only because I've been able to FaceTime with Cynthia and Ari. We've had our moments behind stage before we go and talk, and we look at each other and maybe grab each other's hands like, is this really happening? I mean, the amount of time we talked about like what we wanted to do in this movie in rehearsals or when we're shooting it, how insecure we could be, like, just try it, let's just see if this works. And to have the world receive it in the way they have, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's really beautiful to see.
Yeah.
And you see that actually, we're here to celebrate the home release. You really see that in the bonus features, especially on the day of the Ozdust Ballroom scene.
Yes.
Where Ariana literally says everyone was holding space for Elphaba on that day.
Everyone was just kind of holding space for Elphaba in that room, and you could hear a pin drop.
I'd love to know, because it's so emotional to watch, what you remember most from making that day. What moment will stay with you?
For me, it was how uncomfortable it was to shoot.
Yeah.
Because you have someone you love, Cynthia, who's playing a role, but she's giving very personal wounds out into the camera. So you want to be sensitive about that. You couldn't just cut into different moments. You had to do the whole process. All the background actors and our actors who were within that didn't want to make her feel this way, but we kept telling them, like, you guys have to act like she's the pariah in this. So they were uncomfortable. We were uncomfortable. The camera was uncomfortable to just be that close to her. 700 lighting cues so that the brim, you could still see her eyes as we rotate all the way around. You wouldn't see camera shadow. So it was a technical feat, an emotional feat, and the whole thing, you're just holding your breath. Yeah. Like, let's just get us through this. And she only had a certain amount in her. And Ari is also at that tip. She could only, I'm like, don't cry, don't give it to the audience, hold it in. So all of it, everyone had to be very disciplined that day. But I think you can feel the sort of edge that we're on the whole time in that.
Yeah, I was actually holding my breath. Like, it was
good.
so beautiful. And we also see some deleted scenes now. And one of my
You're so lucky you got to see all this stuff already.
I know, I literally binged it all.
Okay, good.
And one of my favorites is when we see Glinda say to Elphaba, "You could have picked me."
Yes.
And it's a really beautiful scene. It broke me a little bit.
Yep.
And I feel like it's really integral to us seeing who Glinda is and who she wants to be.
Yep.
Especially who she wants to be to Elphaba.
Yep.
So I'd love to get your thoughts on that scene and that kind of moment in their relationship.
That was one of the hardest scenes to cut, if not the hardest one, because it's of the relationship. And you really get to see, like you say, Glinda's side of things, that she's sort of realizing she doesn't have this power, even though she's always pretended she has the whole time, that she's actually much smarter, and that she wants to be actually really genuinely wants to be Elphaba's friend. The reason why we cut it was that we call it the promise scene, because Elphaba promised she's not ever gonna let her go or leave her behind. And it took away from the next scene when they're on the train. Like, you already know, if that's Elphaba's heart, that she's not gonna let her behind, but by not giving that to the audience, by holding it back, then the audience doesn't know. And it made the train seem much more exciting and more emotional when she does invite her. And that is ultimately her decision. When she looks back at her, she is saying with her eyes, whether we hear it or not, that I will never leave you behind again. So it sort of like served a purpose in another way. We kept a little bit ahead of the audience there. So.
Well, it's a lovely little gem to find. When I was watching it, I was
so
like,
glad.
oh my God.
And they do such a wonderful job in it. The delicacy of that scene is really beautiful.
It's so intimate.
She doesn't give a twig what anyone thinks.
Something is not the same. Of course she does. She just pretends not to.
And you say something really beautiful in the bonus features, which is that Ariana overcame her own shadow to make this. And I'd love to know, looking back on this journey with Ariana with Cynthia, the pride that you have, because you really saw them at the start wanting these roles so deeply. We've seen them on the press tour being so emotional. They're parts of them almost.
Yeah.
How proud do you feel of them?
I'm so proud of them because it wasn't easy.
No.
Every step, everyone around you is saying how you're not good enough for that role, or you're not funny enough, or you're not this or that. I read it, I saw it, I heard it, and I looked them in the eye, and they powered through each of those things, no matter how much it actually affected their hearts.
Yeah.
And every day we would grab each other's hands and say, let's just keep going, to focus on the work and keep going. They will get it when they get it, and if they don't, they don't.
Yeah.
So the fact that people are getting it, the fact they
get
do
it.
see it, and they are giving them the flowers that they deserve, and maybe more, you never know. To me, that is a testament to the beauty of filmmaking, that it is about the work, that is about the inches, and of them, what warriors they are. And that this movie, I was so lucky, this is destiny that we all met at this moment in our careers, in our lives, and that the audience is right there with us. As the audience is growing and changing, what more can you ask for?
Don't be afraid.
I'm not afraid. It's the wizard who should be afraid of me.
And as I was prepping for this, I really realised that I've grown up with your work. I remember rewatching the Never Say Never DVD
Yes.
on loop.
Nice.
Crazy Rich Asians was the first junket I ever got to do, so I hold it very close.
Oh, that's great.
And now you've adapted my favourite musical of all time, and you've done it very beautifully. So I feel very grateful to have grown up with your work. And I'd love to know if you look back at your life and you're like, I've really grown up with that person's work. Like, they've been a contingent in my life.
One, thank you for making me feel old. No, I know.
Apologies.
I love that. I love that. I grew up in this industry in the same way as you are growing up while watching it and then being a part of it now. I feel very blessed that I got to start making movies young.
Yes.
And the movies that I made were very personal and exciting for me, and I was learning how to make movies. And so the fact that I get to grow with this business, they kept me around long enough to get to this point where I can make Wicked. It feels very close to me that I get to do that. So when I hear you say that, I love Never Say Never. I love what we put into that movie. I love being around that. And so the movies that I grew up with were the Steven Spielberg movies of the time, from E.T. to all the way to Schindler's List and Jurassic Park. So those are Quentin Tarantino, even him coming into the scene changed my brain about what you could do with filmmaking. And so, yeah, there's a lot of those people, I guess, in my life. But thank you for saying that.
That's okay. Thank you so much.